Tonight's True Scary Story is another one of those hauntings that is so terrifying because it could literally happen to anybody. This poor woman was terrorized for years by something unseen and then eventually seen. So get ready for tonight's story, you guys, because this one is also gonna freak you out. Tonight's submitter's name is Kim, and she did say that I could use her real name, so that is her real name. Growing up in Kim's childhood home, she always thought the basement was creepy. Like any other basement, it freaked her out. But there was something different about this basement. Every time she was down there, she would get this spine-tingling feeling, like she had to run up the stairs faster and something was right on her heels. Now, after Kim's two brothers moved out of the house, she got the room in the attic. She loved that room. She could crawl out the window and go sit on the roof and just feel the breeze in her face and watch the sky. And everything was fine and dandy until it wasn't. When her cousin moved in is when things started to pick up. Her and her cousin shared a bedroom, and they were close. Every time Kim was on her period, her cousin would sit on her stomach to make her cramps go away. This was effective. Well, one day her cousin wasn't home, and she was having terrible period cramps. So bad that she was curled up into a ball, sobbing her eyes out. After she was done crying, she wiped her tears and she rolled onto her back. And that's when she felt it. Something was sitting on her stomach. She actually saw her stomach move downward. This scared her so badly, she jumped up and ran against the wall, holding the wall, just standing there, terrified. From that day forward, things just got worse. She was 17 and terrified in her own home. Kim had a single black rose sitting on her vanity. Every day she would leave for school and she would come home from school and she would see that this rose was sitting on the floor in front of her vanity. The vase still standing upright. How did that rose get to the middle of the floor? After the third or fourth time of this happening, she had finally had enough. She ran downstairs and asked both of her parents, "Are you guys putting my rose in the middle of the floor in front of my vanity?" And of course, both of them said no. That was enough for her. She went upstairs, she grabbed the rose, she threw it in the garbage. Now, nothing happened after that. When she was 19 years old, she moved out of the house. Now, fast forward to when she's in her mid-20s, and her parents moved out of state. Her son would be 4 years old at this time. She actually ended up moving back into her childhood home because her parents had moved out of state. Now, she moved into her childhood home with her baby's father and her baby. The child's father kept up the house. Life was great. No creepy stuff. Until one night, they were all in bed. Kim was drifting off to sleep when suddenly she hears, "Kimberly." Her eyes shot open. She shoved her husband and asked, "Did you hear that?" Of course, her husband is fast asleep. She ended up telling her husband what happened the next day, and he tried calming her down, but she heard what she heard, and this thing did not sound human. It came from the corner of the bedroom by her window, but it was also close, like it was right next to her. It got to the point where she wouldn't go to bed alone. She was losing sleep. She was terrified because she knew if she fell asleep, she was going to hear that terrible voice saying her name and her name only. At night, she would leave the TV and lights on and she would play Gilmore Girls just to kind of ease her mind. When her son turned 5 years old, he started kindergarten. This meant that she would be alone in the house after she sent him off to school on the bus. Any days that she didn't work or her son had to go to school, she would spend outside. She had a beautiful yard, flowers, garden, a fish pond even. But one day she was exhausted and she fooled herself into believing that nothing would happen if she went inside. Nothing had happened. She hadn't heard her name being called for almost a month. She was good. So she went inside, she sat on the couch, she grabbed a cup of coffee, she read a book, she got a few chapters in, when boom! Something hit the couch so hard it vibrated the couch. She froze. She was absolutely terrified. She didn't move a muscle. Whatever it was, she felt it. It was right in front of her. She felt a cold air move through her. She tried to move, but she was too terrified to move. She just sat there for 2.5 hours until her son got off the bus. Fast forward a little while later, and her brother brought over a stray cat. She couldn't leave this cat outside. She had to bring it inside, so she did just that. But this cat would act strange. It would stand in the hallway and just stare into the hallway at nothing. There was nothing there, no flies, nothing. This freaked her out a little bit, but she tried to ignore it. Eventually, her parents actually moved back in and they moved out. She was relieved. Finally, this thing wouldn't follow her, right? Wrong. Now, they ended up getting a dog. She was a little chihuahua named Brianna. When they very first moved into their house, she went into the kitchen, the dog followed her into the kitchen, and then just started growling at nothing in the kitchen. She kind of brushed this off. Maybe the dog was smelling pets that used to live in the home. Now, Kim set up her food and water in the kitchen, and from the very first day, that dog refused to go into the kitchen. After getting settled into the new home, she was taking pictures of her childhood teddy Ruxpin to send to her oldest brother. In these pictures, she caught orbs, small, see-through, whitish bluish in color. She couldn't believe her eyes. She thought things were going to be okay here. She still did. But then her and her husband started smelling this rancid sulfur smell. It would come from their bedroom. One night, this smell was so putrid that she went and grabbed a box fan and put it in the window to kind of air out the smell. Then she drifted off to sleep. Around sometime in the middle of the night, she wakes up. Her heart is pounding so hard she can hear the rhythm of the beat in her ears. She couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. She could barely speak. She tried to scream. Nothing. Where was this coming from? Why did she wake up like this? Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she shot out of bed, runs into the living room, and just starts pacing the living room back and forth, terrified, crying. She grabbed her cigarettes and tried to go outside to calm down. As she's walking outside to do so, she looks at the glowing light of the clock on the stove. It says 3:06 a.m. Her heart started racing, her stomach dropped at the thought that every single time she woke up to that horrible voice in their last home, it was 3:06 a.m. She felt the blood drain to her feet. Suddenly, the earth felt too still. Whatever this was had followed her. Eventually, after a good cry and a cigarette, she mustered up the courage to go back to bed. Eventually, she drifted off to sleep, but only to wake up again. Same thing, heart pounding in her ears. She couldn't move a muscle. She just laid there, paralyzed, crying, scared half to death. She felt this evil presence. She couldn't see it, but she could feel it. It was right in front of her again. As soon as she could move again, she again flew out of bed and ran to the living room. She trembled with fear. She grabbed her cat and cuddled him on the couch. She turned on the TV and put Gilmore Girls on. She was terrified to go back into her own room, but she cuddled her cat on the couch and she watched TV until finally her cat's purring soothed her enough to where she felt comfortable enough to go back to bed. She said a quick prayer, she closed her eyes, and she drifted on back to sleep. She just needed to get sleep. She was so exhausted and she had work in the morning. When nope, again, she wakes up, same thing, heart pounding in her chest. This time she wakes up her husband, bawling her eyes out, telling him what happened. He tried to calm her down, but she was too scared. She couldn't be in that room. She had to go in the living room and turn the TV back on and sit back on the couch and cuddle her cat. This time she brought her dog, and they stayed up all night long until she had to wake up for work in the morning and to send her son off to school. She didn't sleep for 3 days after this. She was so scared and she was so exhausted. Finally, on the third night, she curled up in her husband's arms and she just sobbed herself to sleep. Thankfully, it didn't happen again. Things were quiet again for a while. Too quiet, almost like she was waiting for the other shoe to drop. But nothing. A few months go by, it's Christmas Eve, and her and her husband are sitting on the living room floor wrapping gifts. They were laughing, joking, having such a good time. They could barely contain themselves. They were so excited to see their son open up his gifts. Her husband's back was facing their room. She's sitting there, and suddenly she feels like she's being watched. She turns around, expecting her cat to be behind her. She didn't think much of it. She thought he would pop out eventually, play with the wrapping paper and the bows like he had done in previous Christmases. Next thing you know, she feels this touch on her back left hip area. She turned around, thinking that he was there to play. Nope, nothing. She tells her husband. His eyes widen. He doesn't believe in this type of thing, but he listened. So she continues wrapping gifts when suddenly something yanks back on her pants. She jumps towards her husband and she tells him what just happened. At this point, she's like, we have got to get out of here. We have to move. 3 or 4 months later, they end up moving. They ended up moving to her cousin's place. It was so nice. She lived off of a lake. She loved it there. And they also ended up expanding their fur babies. They ended up with 6 cats and another dog. It was calm there. Nothing evil. But after a couple of months, things started to happen again. They lived in in a 4-story house with a finished basement. The basement had 3 washers, 3 dryers, a shower, and a little mother-in-law's efficiency. First floor was an apartment. Second floor was another apartment. And the 4th floor was another efficiency. They lived on the 2nd floor. So the hallway connected to every room. Now she started to see shadows in the corner of her eye. At first she thought it was just her glasses, until one night she was cleaning up after dinner, doing the dishes in the kitchen, when she saw clear as day a shadow run across her son's room, and then suddenly, boom! She dropped her broom and she ran to the 1st floor. She had to ask the neighbor if he was hearing what she just heard. He said that he in fact heard it, and that he thought that she dropped something, and apparently things were happening to him as well. She then kindly asked the neighbor if he could please go get her phone from upstairs. She was too scared to do it, and her boys were out fishing at the lake. After this, it died down again. She only saw shadows at the corner of her eye every so often. Some 6 feet tall, and others as small as 2 feet tall. She thought maybe the cats at first, but then she started to see it more clearly. She knew it wasn't the cats. So she finally asked her husband if he was seeing the same things. He started to believe her. She thinks that he was having things happen to him too. But the worst was yet to come. One night, her and her husband go to bed. Her husband falls asleep easily, passes right out. She, on the other hand, is tossing and turning. Finally, she drifts off into a deep sleep. When suddenly she wakes up, she sees something standing in front of her. It's right in front of her face. It's a girl. She's in her late teens, early 20s, shoulder-length hair, wearing a 1920s, 1930s long nightgown. It had little frillies on the shoulders, and she kept repeating the same phrase over and over again. My name is Lizzie. My name is Lizzie. My name is Lizzie. This absolutely terrified Kim. She pulls the covers over her head. She waits there for a few minutes and she pulls them down and looks. The girl is gone. Kim says she has many more stories. She believes she's gifted. Her mother thinks so too. She's had many experiences like this. And it does sound like she may be gifted or cursed, however you look at it. Sometimes she knows things are going to happen before they happen. When she dreams vividly, it often comes true. But what do you guys think about this story? First of all, terrifying. The last part is the part that scared me the most. The my name is Lizzie thing. I think I would pee my pants if that happened to me. Especially seeing something like that right in your face. Like she was right directly in her face when she was saying that. Can you imagine that? Oh no, I definitely think that she is gifted. That's what this sounds like. I don't think that things were just following her everywhere. I think that things were attached to her. And when you are gifted, and I've said this many times, and you don't know how to utilize your gift properly, often you attract negative energy because they seep through because you don't know how to protect yourself or because you haven't protected yourself. That's just how I look at it, and it's happened to me, and I think that it happens to many people. I think it's more common than we think. I also think it was playing games with her. It would leave her alone for a long stint of time, and then boom, it would get almost worse each time. Like it progressed from the rose to the horrible waking up with like the pounding in the chest and not being able to breathe, to then seeing something so terrifying. It just sounds like it was playing games with her. So this sounds evil to me. I don't know if the woman was evil or not. Maybe that was just someone who used to live in the house that was maybe trying to contact her. Maybe she had something to tell her. I'm not sure why she kept repeating her name. That's weird. But whatever you guys think, please drop it in the comments, because I'm sure she would love to know. And I would certainly love to know what you guys think was going on here, because yeah, it's scary. And this is just so almost like it's terrifying, because this type of thing probably happens way more often than we think. How many hauntings are there across the world that we don't know about that are just as scary as this one, or like the one that I covered, that poltergeist, like the Bridgeport poltergeist or the Smurl family? Like those are just cases that we know of. Think about the ones that we don't know of. It's just scary. I feel so honored to get these stories, that people are comfortable enough to share their scary experiences with me. I love that. So thank you so much, Kim, for sharing your story. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you are okay and that you're not being tormented still today. But with that being said, whoa, what am I doing? I'm skipping to the end too quickly. With that being said, I'm now going to do my favorite part, which is the shout outs. Marie Rue 2423. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I just read your comment just now, and that was so sweet. I'm so glad that my videos have helped you get through a rough time. You guys already know that scary stories have helped me get through dark times. So when people tell me that, it means so much to me. And everything that you said about my personality, it's so funny that you mentioned my humor, because not a lot of people get that. I rarely show it in my videos because I am telling scary stories, but sometimes I will every once in a while. And the very few people that notice it, I'm like, that person gets my sense of humor. It's very dry, but I love it. I love that you noticed that. Thank you. I appreciate you. And you mean so much to me. I wouldn't have this channel without people like you. So I hope you know how much you mean to me, and thank you so much. I love you, girl. Chrissy's Unboxing More 1906. Thank you so much. I love and adore you right back. You have no idea what that little comment meant to me. It meant so much to me. I was having a rough day today. I am just exhausted and I have so much to do, and I'm just like looking at my videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, like some of them are doing really well, some of them are not, like I don't know what to do. And then I see these comments and I'm like, what am I doing? I have a community of people here that care I'm gonna cry. Okay, sorry. Ha! As you can see, I was having a bad day. That's how much you made it better. You have no idea what it means to me, because I have a community of people here that care. You guys make my life better. Like, I look at your comments and you have no idea what it means to me to see these comments and how much love is poured into my comment section. And one of my friends actually told me the other day, Kaisa, if you're ever having a bad day, look at your comments. And he was so right, because no matter how my views look, I don't care, because I have the most loving and supportive community on this app that this is all I need. Even if I never get past 9,000 followers, I have you guys, and this is literally all I need. So thank you so much for being a part of that, and I love you so much for it. So now that I've cried and stumbled over my words and made a whole mess of this video, I have something to tell / ask you guys. I am going to be doing merch soon. So it'll be like not mugs, but what do you call them? Tumblers and keychains and possibly t-shirts. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that, because I do have someone lined up that I'm collabing with that can do this for me. So I just want to know if you guys would be interested in that. I know I've asked you guys prior, but now I'm at a little bit more followers, especially on TT, and I'm starting to grow here. So I thought maybe you guys would like it if I did some merch. Please let me know, okay? So other than that, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys submit to me. I do shorts one day, and then I do a long video the next day, and I do that every single week. So if you're into that, hit that subscribe button so that you can get notified next time I tell a true scary story. And I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories, have a safe night, and what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.